juice.
It's showtime.
So we're live.
We're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast and it's hosted by Northern Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
And I am the other host, Paul, and hopefully not sound like a demon. And if anyone wants to check and make sure our audio levels are fine, I'd be greatly appreciated, you little bastards. Yeah. But yes.
And if I manage to go offline, it's because my cat is pulling at wires.
That's not a euphemism, guys. That's not.
It's actually happening.
Anything can happen because we're live. But yes, we are joined by the two most beautiful members of the Nerdy Up North cult. We are joined by the sexy, this embracing godlike human being that is our beautiful Jo, and we are joined by Jo's sister, as she is known now in our Discord. We are joined by Sonia the Great, the Twitcher, the perfect lady that she is,
the Archangel Sonia.
Yes. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I like Kelly saying Jo is in hell, and Chris is like, that's just Scotland. This is just Scotland. This is what it looks like.
I thought it'd be a bit colder.
But yes.
Got a Gulf Stream.
But yes, no longer is it Spanish Jo, it is Scottish Jo. Keeping up with the S's though, so doing well though, Jo there.
Yeah, I'll have to move somewhere in like Sweden, Switzerland next.
That would be interesting. Coming to our international man of mystery as well. So yes,
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. So yes, thank you nerds for everyone who joined the chat. Like say, not to bring the tone down a little bit as well. Just say it's been a shit week for nerds in general, and was culminating in what I'll admit to an embarrassment of being from Sunderland, shall we say, this weekend, which I never thought I would say. I know we do try and keep politics and all that stuff out of it, but the stuff that's happened this weekend does not represent me, does not represent like the people I know, and does not represent the Nerdy Up North community, which I was insanely proud of over the weekend as well. Everyone was trying to be positive. No one mentioned anything that was going on, and I think it's just right, like say, to take a moment to to appreciate you guys for being, like I say, just decent people, decent folk. So thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Sorry if
saw a hand
saw.
come in from behind.
Yeah. Coffee bringing the drinks.
But yes.
The timing.
Bringing the drinks.
Oh.
And sorry, Loki has just made an appearance and knocked everything while Paul was making that lovely speech. So sorry if my face said something very different. So, my apologies.
But yes, but like I say, thank you, Coxie. You are a part of this podcast, even though you like in the background. just say
your hand.
Just say I love you, and I will always love you as well. So yes. So yeah, Sammy, do you want to tell the famous speech that has been spoken across the universe and across the land?
Are we talking about my famous BBC disclaimer?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
BBC famous.
BBC famous, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Been on it many times now. It's starting to get to the point where it's not so famous anymore.
I did ask them for a job. When I was walking there, I was like, do you need a nerdy correspondent?
He did actually, I've just remembered that.
And the guy was the guy was all awkward, and we're like, oh yes, you can put in for stuff and like apply, and like say, oh yes, I was going to send me the link, and guess what? He did not send me a link.
Nope.
I'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
There's the door. Well, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page, even the Discord or the comment section, where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Very well said, yes. And
thank you.
Like say, if you think me and Sammy's seen a lot of each other recently, it's because we have. And for people who don't know, our interview with Neil Marshall will be going out on Tuesday, so you'll have to check out that. And as we are promoting his new film, The Duchess, which will be in cinemas on Friday. So getting a bit of promotion.
Very cool.
Very cool. But yes. So we are here though.
We are here.
we are joined by the siblings of two, because it's been a while, and we always have so much fun, and I always end up pissing myself laughing, and I can't wait to see how 2 reference points gets brought into the film that we're going to talk about today. Joe is the
It'll be
man that can do
interesting.
it. How he's going to get Titanic and Princess Diana into this conversation. I look forward to it. But yes, we are talking about DC Comics' very own Constantine.
And I have the taglines
Yes.
for this
Excellent.
movie. There's
think I know one of them already.
2.
But
There's
go on.
only 2, so you may know them.
Mhm.
First one is Hell wants him, heaven won't take him, earth needs him.
Right.
Yeah.
And the last one, there's only 2, so I'm when I saw them, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
where's the loads of them? The wager between heaven and hell is on earth.
Right.
I like that one. I feel like that one suits it more.
Yes.
That one's a lot
Which
better.
one did they go for as like the main kind of used?
The first one.
The first one.
Really? I feel like I like the second one better because it says Earth needs him, but I feel like
Mhm.
you would need him in the way you would need like sort of like that toxic relationship in your life, right? Like
Yeah.
Well,
And good,
I-
very well said though about the toxic part, because this movie probably embodies everything to do with like toxic fandom or the toxicity that came out after this movie. Because one of the things that did surprise me, and again, I am a big fan of the Hellblazer comics and John Constantine as a character. This is a very different telling, a different take on the character and, let's say, the story. But the fandom went wild. Not just when, like, say, you thought the Batman shit was bad when this kicked off about like Heath Slater's casting or Michael Keaton's casting as Batman, like back in the day when the internet wasn't there. They went nuts for the casting with John Constantine, especially its British fan base, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, this was my first time watching it last night, by the way.
oh really?
Yeah, but I am a huge Constantine fan. Hellblazer is one of my favorite. I actually brought my Original Sin with us just to be like,
Oh wow.
because Original Sins, I should say, actually has a lot to do with this movie. It might not be completely like on the nose with it, but it does take a lot of influence from it. But what I read one thing that kind of put everything into perspective for us, because he's not the quintessential John Constantine. If you read him from the comic, it's not how you would expect him to be on screen. So I can understand people's not liking that, but the original John is characterized and designed from Sting to look like Sting. And he is set and Sting is from England. And what the director said was,
from Newcastle.
Yeah, well, Liverpool. He's a Scouse.
Oh, is
but
he?
I know Sting's from, but John's a.
We're talking about different
Oh right.
things.
Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, John's from. That was me. Sorry, but what he said was, if we're taking John into Los Angeles and having him as a Los Angeles base, who is more Los Angeles than Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, if you're using that basis, that Sting was the inspiration for John in England, Keanu Reeves was the inspiration for John in America. I was like, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
And it made us feel like slightly different, because I didn't hate Keanu Reeves' performance in this.
No, it's a very different, as I said, it's a very different take on Constantine. I know, I even went back and just to look at all this stuff that kicked off about it, people wouldn't go nuts because Keanu Reeves didn't dye his hair blonde. I was like,
oh, get fucked.
If that's the quintessential, if that's what Constantine means to you, fair enough. He doesn't even wear a brown raincoat. Are you upset about that?
He wears a beautiful suit, and I loved that suit. It was initially going to be called Hellblazer.
Yes.
That's what the initial title was, but Hellboy was coming out around the same time, and they're like, oh, maybe we should stay away from the hell side of things.
Yeah.
I have to get this fact out because it's absolutely itching and burning at my skin to do it. This movie is not, it's not just a case of it came out when it did. It's been in the works for a really long time. The original director attached to it was Tasmin Singh. Do you know who the original actor was?
Come on.
You're going to fucking love this. Nicolas Cage.
No way. No.
Yeah.
imagine Nicolas Cage as John Constantine. Can you imagine us going, oh, it's Constantine, man.
Just
That's his catchphrase. He always says that.
just to touch on with the Nicolas Cage facts as well. Spoilers for Tuesday's interview. I did pitch the idea of the Nicolas Cage monster universe to Neil Marshall. You have to watch to find his reaction.
I recommend it. I really do. But yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh my god, that is definitely going in my notes. Paul will lose his mind over it. But when it eventually came around to studios being interested, the director wasn't in a place to do it, and Nicolas Cage certainly wasn't in a place to do it. And that's when they completely shifted. But yeah, I love the fact that they were the two original Seven Sing and also Nicolas Cage. Would have been a very different movie.
So, with Sammy saying this is her first watching of Constantine, which was yesterday, Sonia, when was the first time you saw it?
I couldn't tell you the year, Paul, but I do know the first time I saw it was with Joe, interestingly.
All right.
Back in the day, we used to have a subscription to Love Film, where you would just get DVDs sent to the house. So as kids, we just got as many DVDs as we could. We'd watch them, we'd send them back, we'd get more. So we ended up with like a stockpile of stuff that we never would have thought of watching. I think I told this story when I was on the Serenity podcast, because it's how I ended up seeing Serenity. Joe watched it and was like, you need to watch this film, you're going to love it. But yeah, so we ended up watching Constantine together and then absolutely just loved it. Got the DVD, watched it multiple times after. Watched it again today. Like, I've seen this film so many times I can quote lines from it. Like, it's one of those. So, but if it was when I lived at home, I would say I was probably about 19, I want to guess, 18, 19. Joel have been 16. So yeah, it wouldn't have been out for that long when we watched it.
Yeah.
However, know nothing about the comic, so I can't say I was one of those people that was like doing any kind of comparisons. I do remember researching the film after watching it and being quite shocked at how negative the reviews were, but I think again that was people who were comparing it. And correct us if I'm wrong, I believe that the actual creator of the comic hates the film.
Like
Alan Moore doesn't like any of his he doesn't like any of his, but the thing is though, John is his creation from when he was introduced in Swamp Thing. That was his first introduction onto paper, but Alan Moore has fuck all to do with Original Sins. This is not his story. This is not his book. It's just his character. And Alan Moore, I love the man. Sonia, I think you would absolutely love just listening to him talking because he's so insightful. But he really doesn't like any of his stuff being put onto film.
Cool.
I think he had a bad taste left in his mouth over something, and
I think it's just any type of like film adaptation. He just kicks off. He just because he's a very much a perfectionist, or wanting everything to be his way. And if someone tells him he can't have it its own way, he goes off in the biggest. Like basically he acts like a bit of a twat.
But he's very insightful. Like if aside from like how his position is on that, he's an incredibly insightful. But him and Stephen King do an amazing sit down talk.
I was going to say, because when you said that, I thought of Stephen King, and I thought, be devil's advocate here, because part of me is like, how dare you? This film's amazing. But actually, if I'd spent some time creating something and someone changed that, I'd probably have opinions about that too. So I get it. And I know Constantine has a huge cult following now, the same way most of these type of films do, where like at the time it's like, no, this is shit. But then people love it for its other themes and take away like that it's connected to DC, and actually fundamentally this is just a fucking brilliant film.
I think what Marvel's doing and what anyone's doing now, just say a multiverse and you can say it's just a different version of that story. So Joe,
chuck that word in there.
So Joe, with us finding out your first viewing was with Sonia, I'm quite interested.
How did you feel?
I'm just interested, like, say, why you love this movie as much as you do, because people in the chat or people who's listening, watching, this was actually Joe's pick. Joe actually messaged me a while ago saying, please do a Constantine episode, and please can you get me and Sonia on? So this little gathering.
Did you request me too?
This little
That's crazy, because when we were putting the episodes together, I said let's do Constantine. So we're on the same page.
So why did I request it? Well, when I was a teenager, I absolutely loved comic book movies, and when this came out, it was fairly sparse. I mean, you had the Marvel stuff just like starting to kick off. You had X-Men and Spider-Man were out. I
Mhm.
think maybe you had the Thomas Jane Punisher was out around about now.
Yeah.
Ooh, good film, good film.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Oh.
But then, like, there was not really much in the way of like DC stuff. Like Batman and Superman had sort of like been hanging around for ages, but there wasn't like you weren't seeing them do it. In fact, I think this came out the same year as Batman Begins, so there was already like bigger
2005?
DC. Yeah, it's 2005. There was already like bigger DC heroes that were coming out, and this was like totally undersold. Really, it was just like, and it was. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. You guys remember? Sonia's gonna remember this. When you had like the pay-per-view channel for like movies.
Yeah, so it was on Sky.
And it would, like,
yes.
just show you like trailers on repeat.
NTL.
Like, we would just watch those and then go, "That's a decent movie. Let's either rent it off NTL or
That's how we ended up watching K-Packs. I love K-Packs. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I
was a
went
good
to
film.
pictures to see that.
Rented that on the TV.
Fucking spacey, man. So there's that, and there's another thing. I know my homegirl, but he's going to back us up here. I love not horror that's like religious themed.
Yes,
Not necessarily supernatural, but like when it's like religion, when it's based in religion, when it's based on religious dogma. Fucking love it.
Me too.
Like,
Me too. I love cynical religious horror. Like not necessarily like kind of like when it's like from the viewpoint of the church, like more like when there's someone who's part of the church but is almost like on the fence about whether they believe or not, and they find belief through fighting evil. Like that is my bread and butter, man. I fucking love that shit.
What was the one? The woman who's going through like the crucifixion.
Stigmata
is one of my favorites. I love that movie.
So good.
I think there was a spate of them like around about the time, because you had like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing End of Days, Stigmata,
End of Days, yeah.
And then like
Devil's Advocate.
Like a lot of the type of films start coming out at the time. I think this movie, like why it, like Sonia said, it got panned across the board by the critics and everything, because it didn't know what movie it wanted to be. It was kind of like crossing the line almost with the comic book side, because it is a comic book movie, but if you watch this movie, it's the tone and everything, it's not set as its stereotypical superhero movie or stereotypical superhero movie that we were having around the time. And again, it's very horror light. There is horror aspects to this movie, but it's very PG-13, not really like the brutal or scary horror that we're good. So the marketing side of things, it was kind of didn't know where it was aimed for, because if you aimed for the comic book crowd, the hate that they were getting from, like, say, this bit up being there constantly that people like hold dearly, they were scared to actually market it that way. So it was kind of like almost, not to say it to this degree, but it was almost marketed almost like a little bit like Twilight, like for the teeny horror side of it. So that's why
that was my demographic. That was right on my screen.
It was the right time for us.
It's funny that you say Spacey, because Mel Gibson and Kevin Spacey were considered for the role of Constantine.
Oh, really? Yeah, man. We got lucky with Keanu, we really did. Like, he plays cynical so well. I just feel like just someone who just doesn't really want to talk to anyone. Like, he's so lovable at being that character, and I think others, you might have actually ended up hating them. They needed someone who could be an arsehole who you still backed, who you still wanted to sort of see win.
And it's kind of John. The only one characteristic he didn't have of him is his smart wit mouth. And he did kind of have like a bit of it where he would say like little one-liners like towards the end of a scene, but it didn't quite land the way like I would expect it from him. But apart from that,
see, my big problem, and again, like, I love this movie, and again, I'm not going to shit. I'm going to get the negative stuff out of the way like early, because I want to like sing its praises. If we're going to call it a Constantine movie, Keanu Reeves as Constantine in this movie wasn't a cunt. In the books, Constantine is one of the most awful characters in DC. He is the most selfish people, and I know they try to get around that in this movie by saying he's doing all these acts to save his soul, but he's not just like that in the comics. He's anything to make money, anything to progress. He couldn't give a fuck who dies, who lives. whose soul gets swallowed up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He is the most selfish
Right.
superhero in the DC universe, and it's hilarious when you get him and like Batman interacting and stuff like that, because the back and forth. Like, fair enough, he's got an arc and he grows, but in this, like John, like Keanu Reeves, and it might just be the Keanu factor, he is too much of a nice guy. And he's not selfish enough. They do try and play it out by little things like the elevator scene where he doesn't hold it, or if
he's just a menace by like very minimal proportions.
Yeah. So
hold that door. No.
So he's not enough of a bastard or like the horrible person that you want Constantine, because that's the thing. You love Constantine not because of his actions, because like he is just so brutally honest and open that you think, yeah, you can't do it, because basically you might do the same thing. I do apologize if I'm going a little bit darker tonight, just because I've got to choose either use the spotlight or a fan, and I'm using the fan because I don't want to die.
Oh, I thought you meant thematic.
I thought you meant thematically. Yeah.
No,
I was
no.
like, well, it's quite a dark movie, Paul.
You're good.
Yeah.
No, you're right, because in the comics, John is he's an incredibly selfish person, and to be honest, he's selfish to a degree in this, because the only reason John does what he does is to save himself.
Yeah, he wants to buy himself back
exactly.
in.
And it's no different than in the comic. The only difference is that he's trying to save himself from going to hell, and once again, he's wings for heaven. In the comic book, he's trying to save himself because he fucked up an execution.
Exorcism. Yeah,
he fucked up an exorcism, and he wants to set it right. It's all for him. It's for nobody else. So in that respect, Keanu is still doing the selfish thing, but he's a bit more likable about it.
That's probably because I want to hate Constantine. That's always the fun thing in the comics, because you always enjoy kind of not liking him, but also he gets the job done, so you kind of not like him at the same time. But in this one, it's a very different thing. One thing I do want to say about as well, as Joe mentioned, this was made in 2005. The special effects and the effects that was used in this movie, it holds up. There's nothing shit at all.
There is a reason for that, my friend, because this is the work of Stan Winston and his crew that included V. Neil, that included Shane Mon. Stan Winston is the reason you have Jurassic Park, Terminator, Predator, Iron Man, Edward Scissorhands. He's won 4 Academy Awards for his work. V. Neil, we all know V. Neil. If you don't, she is the woman behind Beetlejuice, the look that you get from Beetlejuice. And Shane Mon is the creator of the Iron Man suit. The cast itself is brilliant. The makeup cast is even better. They had to use CGI in certain aspects, but when they didn't have to, they didn't. Gavin Rosendale's face, all makeup.
Wow!
Right.
Not when it's smashed to pieces.
Obviously, yeah. They just make up his face apart.
the transformation from the, what was he, like, demon?
It was a half. It was half blood, wasn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because the halflings can walk the earth, not like pure angel or pure demon type thing. That was all the premise of it.
It was all overlapping, and the transitional to it was very similar to the transitions that were used in American Werewolf in London. So that, like, obviously techniques from that were put into this, but yes, this team is just on point. Rachel Weisz.
Oh my God, she's beautiful.
When she's looking at her sister underneath the sheet, that is a full replica of Rachel Weisz. That is
no way.
That is
you know what?
That is a full replica.
I watched that today, and I was like, it looks so much like her. And I was like, it's funny because usually in scenes like this where someone doesn't have a twin IRL, they'll get someone who looks as close to as possible, but is clearly not them. Or you can see that they've just mirrored the image, and it's very like kind of visibly CGI. And when I watched it, I was like, no, she's interacting with this body. Like, that is real. I had no idea it was a replica. Like, that's
full
insane.
replica.
mean?
full body replica, not just
That
head
must
or
feel
anything, full
so
body.
weird.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
yourself.
like looking at you. Yeah.
Are you dead? Are you dead?
I mean, that probably helps for the scene, but
Yeah.
Have you not
Shit.
seen Chris Pratt's reaction when he's actually carrying himself in Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Because
No.
that's a full replica body as well, because they needed him in a certain position that he couldn't physically get into. So they created a full replica, and Chris Pratt's reaction of seeing himself lying down, he was terrified.
Oh,
He didn't like it
God.
at all.
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley, yeah.
Like, as you said, with the special effects and like what practical effects they used as well, like the way they did the look of hell, like looked absolutely amazing. Like how it was just basically like the place where you are, but just in apocalypse, as Joe's demonstrating behind him as well. But the demons, like the actual demons, how feral and monstrous they looked, were like just looked like dog, like an animal. Like I thought they were like an interesting characters. Then when you got to see like Gabriel's wings and everything, just everything looked so majestic and beautiful. And then we got like the elements to it as well, but we're not going to like say that bit just yet. But
Yeah.
overall, like the tones and the visuals, like everything, just like the colors used, just like totally just
the colours
was
were
beautifully done.
breathtaking. The angel wings, they didn't want them to be fully white. They didn't want it to contrast with the colours that are used within the movie, because obviously there's a specific palette to this movie that they don't they don't move away from. So he wanted the wings, and also these would be living angels on Earth. They wouldn't be white.
Yeah.
They'd be a bit dirty. So
I like the idea of them being like made dirty by Earth, like they've been muddied almost. Like
and
slamming it out with us humans.
But isn't that such an amazing attention to detail? Like that's what they actually thought so much of the wings that they used, and they are full on prosthetic wings too.
they're amazing. Like there's certain scenes where like it's visually incredible, and it's just such a small scene when Constantine's explaining about the half-breeds being able to walk the earth, and he's like, they can be swayed for bad or swayed for good. And he shows you Balthazar in the shop, and then he shows you the shopkeeper holding his friend,
him.
and his wings come out. It's like a 1.5 second clip, but the wings look amazing. And then you never see that guy again. Like,
it's almost like they come out to like protect him. Like it's like
and like the look on his face, and he's like holding him, like it's beautiful. And like yeah, like there's so many little moments like that where visually it's incredible. I mean, obviously Gabriel's the one whose wings you see the most of, but
Tilda Swinton in this movie, my
I know,
God,
I know.
Our feet.
Why are people saying about her feet? I didn't even notice.
Oh, because she puts that foot on his face.
Well, yeah, but I was like,
It's like in shot for a long time.
you see toes, you see toes.
Almost Quentin Tarantino level of screen time.
It's so funny. We our next episode for Monsters is Death Proof and Planet Terror. Not once did I mention his foot fetish in that.
Oh, really?
I managed to do the whole episode without actually bringing up.
That's Chris not tuning in for that one now.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
But like, see, just talking about the cast as well. If you look at like all the people that's in this, like,
holy,
for just like a TV or not a TV, like a comic book movie that it is, like the people that are involved, like Tilda Swinton is fucking phenomenal. Raquel Weisz is beautiful. Shia LaBeouf is not annoying in this movie, which is surprising.
He kind of is. He's like the lackey, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know, but he wasn't Chaz. He wasn't the Chaz that I remember. So I was like, oh, he's a bit. He's
with his flat cap. I've got to give a shout out to my homie though, my number one man, Peter Stormare as the devil. Holy fucking shit. Like to me, and I've had this conversation with Joe like 5 times. I'm going to have it again. I'm sorry, Joe. The greatest depiction of the devil of all time, I think. Like he is fucking incredible. He's an amazing actor.
Yes.
I love that he's not British. I love that a depiction of the devil wasn't like some
it wasn't like an English chap going, "Hello, chap, coming to hell now."
So I was reading last night about him and why he chose to do this movie, because he rallied for this film and he actually auditioned for the part of Balthazar.
Right. Oh, really?
But they were like, we kind of want you for something else. And he is a very deep religious person. And
Is he?
And what he wanted to do was to depict his depiction of the devil, how he sees him, and he chose the white suit.
I knew that because they wanted to put him in dark, and he was like, "No, I think I should be in white." Yeah, I love that.
He was like, "Why would the devil want to hide away? Let's put white suit on him. Let's be so brazen." And oh my god, it was such a different character to what I've seen him play. Like, I know him from Prison Break, Fargo, The Big Lebowski, and he always has like that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like,
there's a presence. There's a presence about him. Yeah,
presence.
But there's always something quite similar about the people he plays, because I've only ever seen him play tough guys. So from then now he's the devil. And oh my god, was he just so charismatic? I didn't realize he had it in him.
Just so good.
He was so playful with it. I know that's an unusual word. Just like when he's like lighting up John's tab, like when he's like moving around, and he's kind of like he's watching John suffer, and he's getting off on it. Like, you can tell, like he's getting some kind of sexual gratification out of this as well. And
I'm so glad you said his name though, because I can't pronounce it.
I know he's Swedish, but I'm on day 120 of my Norwegian streak on Duolingo, so I'm like, I'm learning the pronunciations.
Love
but
it.
As good as his interaction with John and Keanu was, his interaction with Tilda Swinton's Gabriel was so much better. And
just like laughing in our face. Just like,
that line when he says, "No one's protecting you now."
Yeah, like, it's like the fact that when she goes to punch him, there's almost a look of like, "Oh, I might be in trouble here," and then when the punch doesn't land, and it's just the like glee in his face, and he's like, "Ha ha ha, you're fucked."
But then you get this. But then you get the turn as well. So you get the interaction with Gabriel and how he's kind of bested her, and then he's like, oh, "Okay, John, what do you want?" Like, I expecting him to say, "No, I want a few more years" and stuff like that. And it's and again, it's John playing him for being the twat he is, and he falls into John's trap of like releasing, like you say, the soul of Isabel. And that's where John. I'll keep calling John now, like he's John Constantine.
For life.
But with Joe saying it earlier, with the religious connotations and like say the history and like the law that is used in this movie, it's quite interesting because, as I said, the big thing is like, if you try and kill yourself, it's a mortal sin, and you've taken a soul away that wasn't yours to give away, type thing. So, or life away, is it? So then it's all about like the repercussions from suicide and how I think, and mental health as well plays quite a big role in this movie. But then how he kind of turns it on his head, and like when you see Keanu then doing a selfless act to get himself like out, like off the line to go to hell, and he's going, and you see Peter's like Lucifer's turn of just how fucking angry and nuts he was. But the whole like the visual as well as like Keanu, like John's body becoming like lifeless, and he's pulling them along, and it's digging into the ground. It's just fucking mesmerizing.
It's so cool.
So the whole premise of this story is the fact that a sister has, well, it's not the whole premise, but part of it is that Isabel has gone into hell because her sister believes that she committed suicide. I actually read up about this because I wanted to know if that was how Catholics actually are. And apparently the whole thing has changed. They now have, because they have such a better understanding of mental health, the Roman Catholic Church actually banned the burials of those who committed suicide in the 1980s. Because you actually couldn't be buried if you committed suicide. They wouldn't allow it.
There's a scene in the movie where she asks the priest, that's when they bump into each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's there to see the priest and say she needs a Catholic burial, and he's like, "No, not
no." Well, they got rid of that in 1980. So according to what I read, there would have been no objection for Angela to be buried. It's not considered an unforgivable sin either.
Is that in America or in the UK? It might be.
It's the Roman Catholic Church, so it will be worldwide.
It'd be standardized, wouldn't it, by the actual Pope? Yeah.
To be fair though, America though, they're still as backward as they were in the like. But
I don't think changes in religion, when they come like fundamentally like that, change years and years of of like stigma. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still going to be like looked at, and I mean it still is. People with those difficulties still are stigmatized, aren't they? So, but it's good. It's good that they did a U-turn on that. I think because like I think like I feel like the only people that like disrupts are the family. Like how many families went like through heartbreak because they couldn't bury their kids or their loved ones because of. It's awful.
I had a little bit of a revelation today when I was thinking about this movie. There's not a lot of, obviously, Andrea, Rachel Weisz is looking for Constantine because she's like, my sister would not have killed herself. Something happened. There's something more to say here. Like she's using her Catholic guilt and detective skills to say there's something bigger at play here, and there is. But that moment when Constantine comes back from hell in her apartment and he's like, yes, your sister's in hell, like she killed herself, that must have been fucking crushing. Did you be like, maybe that was it, maybe there's nothing more to this, and obviously then the plot keeps happening, but
the thing is though, right, like because it's not really spoken about, and I don't know if it's in the comics or not, but it's clear that she knew what was coming. She knew what was going to happen, and that's why she ends her life, because and for that reason, I got a little bit annoyed watching it today because I thought, yes, Constantine sacrifices himself for the greater good, and that's why he's allowed into heaven. But technically, Isabel did the same thing. She sacrificed herself to stop herself from being used as the conduit for the devil's child. So why wasn't she considered self-sacrificing? Like, maybe why was God like, fuck her?
Well, maybe because she didn't tell her identical twin sister what the fuck was going on, because the likelihood is...
I should have got a message of the Bible on the window.
Oh, to be fair, she didn't do a deal with the best Lucifer that we've ever seen. That could have been one of the things as well. But one of the things... like, I know we're going to be jumping all over because I love that when we don't have a structure. I love it when we don't really put a structure to these things. It just feels more fun to me, to be honest with you. The characters in this as well. One of the characters that I actually loved was the Father Hennessy.
Father Hennessy, yeah, he's a mixture of other characters. Like, he's a mixture of other people in the Constantine world and just made into one. But the guy who plays him, I cannot for the life of us say his first name.
Pruitt Taylor Vince.
I always get him and a very young Vincent D'Onofrio mixed up.
Yeah, he does look similar.
Kyle from Tenacious D.
Yes. Yes, I see where you're coming from, but I loved Father Hennessy.
Like, and again, it probably, like, Sonia probably has got more out of this than me, like, say, with the mental health side of things as well, like how people probably viewed mental health, or people who like heard voices and stuff like that, where it's more to do with like, say, the demonic side. Like, he wears an amulet to keep the voices away, and he leaves it off so the voices come in, and he can like try and like almost like demon radio, so he kind of works out what's going on. And then when he figures out what's happening, he's trying to dull out the voices by drink, and it's so brutal, but so amazingly well done, where the bottles look like he's trying to drink all the alcohol.
He's not drinking, but he is.
Yeah, and when you see like him putting the bottles down, you can see the alcohol flowing.
Yeah,
but
suddenly there's liquid flowing out.
Yeah, and when he's putting it over his face or his mouth, it looks like there's nothing coming out. So it's, in essence, he's drank himself to death within like 30 minutes, and it's so brutally done. But his performance in that was just, like, I know he's only in it for a short period, but left quite a big mark on it when I watched it.
You really feel for him, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did get a lot out of this film this time round, because every time I've watched it previously, I haven't been a mental health therapist. So I've watched it through the lens of someone who's very passionate about and informed about, but not like academically. So like watching it now, I was kind of like, this raises that bigger question of, it's never just mental health. It's never just, oh, they were sad, so they ended their life. There's other things going on behind the surface. And I love when religious films do this, when it's how other people perceive religious themes. So like, we would look at someone like John, who was a kid, and think, oh, look at this nutter on the bus. He's like seeing stuff, or he's mental. No, well, actually, he's not, is he? Like, and then it brings that bigger question of, like, actually, for people who do see things, even if they're not real, they are to them.
Yeah.
You know, like, they have this huge impact. So I absolutely love those themes. I love the picking up on the fact that he drinks alcohol to numb out the voices, because that's what people with schizophrenia and other forms of psychosis can end up doing. So yeah, there's themes in this that are really dark but really well presented. It's not kind of like pussyfooted around.
Oh no, and I think the change in it to get into the mental health side, because originally he was going to eat himself.
Oh God!
But got thinner. So every time, and that's a story in the comic book. Every time he kept eating, he would actually get thinner, and that's where they were going to go down. But because of the mental health side of things, the alcohol seemed to play a more
better role.
Like a more fitting part. And kind of like they were trying to, for all they wanted to be inspired by the comic, they were at the same time trying to make their own film.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I think it pays off.
Massively.
Sorry, I'm chuckling. You're talking about something really serious. I'm chuckling away at Kelly in the chat being like, Shan, that he couldn't get a drink down. I'm like,
I saw that.
Talking about how he gouges the symbol into his hand.
Oh, that's brutal as well.
There's a pen like an inch to the left. It's like, just use the pen.
I thought he picked a marker up and he was going to write a message out to John or something. And when he started stabbing his hand, I was like, is he stabbing his hand with? Why is he doing that?
I'm going to point out, right? He didn't use the pen because fucking Balthazar was in the shop, and he might not have known that, but if you use a pen, it can be washed away, but if you've got a wound, it can't be. So he's probably wanting to ensure it couldn't be hidden.
See, Sonia coming out with the facts now. Well done, Sonia.
I want to throw in something just in case I forget it. I picked up on it today. I've never picked up on it historically. I actually turned to Coxie and was like, am I reading into this wrong? I've Googled it. I didn't read into it wrong. I'm 100% right. When Chaz asks if he's just a slave, John says, "You're not a slave. You're like my apprentice, you know, like, you know." And then he goes to like Robin and Batman, or like, you know. And then he starts to name, and he's like, "Oh, the skinny guy with his fat friend." And I was like, "Is that a Jay and Silent Bob reference?" I googled it. It is a Jay and Silent Bob reference.
Oh, amazing!
I heard that line and went, "He must be talking about Oliver and Hardy."
That's where I went as well. Yeah,
I thought it was a throwaway line. I didn't think anything.
No, Jay and Silent Bob. I was like, does he mean Jay and Silent Bob? Because they are sidekicks, let's face it. Like,
which one's the sidekick?
Let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment for Sonia here, because that's a good pickup. Well done, Sonia, for that one.
Brilliant. I never even picked up on that. I thought it was a throwaway comment.
Yeah,
I really did. I was like, does he mean like Robin Hood and Father? Is it Father John? But no, apparently Friar Tuck. Yeah, sorry, but apparently the original script actually said like Jay and Silent Bob, and they changed it to be a little bit more vague.
Wow.
There you go.
So Kevin's been referenced in a DC and a Marvel, so he's part of both universes now. Well done.
Yeah.
Let's go into some of the other characters, because we've mentioned his name a few times, Balthazar. What did you think of Gavin Rosendale's performance in this movie? Because it's a tale of two sides. He's
okay.
He's not terrible. Like I instantly recognized his face and thought, "Oh, you dirty cheat." But I wasn't put off by him. Like I wasn't like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
I think, as I said, it's a tale of two sides for me. I love his interaction with John in like the boardroom. Like that fight, I thought was breathtaking, because when you see his face. But when he's in the meeting with him and like Papa Moon Knight, and he goes finger licking good, like that is the most cringe. I actually felt myself back.
I can hear the noise in my head.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
his
actually
performance
feel
was a
like-
bit meh, but it wasn't too bad.
Was it Jason Lee in Dogma who played Azrael?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, he does a better job of being creepy demon guy.
Holy bartender.
Get it? You brought a name up there who I didn't think they would actually have in this movie, which is Papa Midnight.
Yes.
Oh yeah. He's so cool.
I loved him. I love his character.
He's great.
I love the way that he's really dedicated. He genuinely believes in like the balance, the cause here, like the whole thing, to the point where he is probably the only one who's playing by the rules.
Well, Constantine says that to him at the end, towards the end, doesn't he? He's like, "Dude, you're the only one who's still like sticking there." Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, from like my recollection as well, from like, it's been a long time since I've read the Hellblazers, but I feel like he's probably more comic accurate than any other character in this.
Mhm.
He was absolutely fantastic. The way he said "in my house," I was like, "Oh my god!" Yes.
He's got such a good voice as well. Like,
Yeah.
he's got such a good presence.
Oh, I'll say it. He was damn right sexy in this movie. To be fair, though,
I can't say his name. I want to say Jimon because I feel like that's how it would probably be pronounced, but it's the dude from Gladiator, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's the guy in
Digimon Husu, I think.
Yeah, it's the guy from Guardians who goes, "Who?"
Oh
yeah, it's him. But it took me a while to realize it was him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he played that so he looked fucking phenomenal."
He did.
We had
that.
But yeah, sorry, his little hat. I love the way that he's like when he is helping John, and they're using like that scene with the electric chair. And he just like has a bottle of like some liquor or another, and he's just like wandering around with it. And I was like, "What's that for?" And then he's like, "Do you want a little flavour?" And he's like, okay. I was like, "Nice." He's just getting pissed. He's just like, "We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that right."
With a lot of this movie as well, I know we talked about the religious elements to it, like the actual almost like kind of like the hoodoo to it as well. I love that how they get to go to these places, like the first one you get with Constantine in we mentioned in the apartment when he's like putting his feet in the like a water tub because it's like the water's a lubricator, and then the cat walks in and instantly my wife goes, "You better not fucking do anything with that cat."
I couldn't remember if the cat was okay when I watched this again. And I was like, okay.
I just kept
always fine.
You can't turn this film off, so you're gonna just have to close your eyes.
Oh, we would have told you. We would have told you something.
I wouldn't have watched it. Honestly, I have to say that cat is absolutely beautiful. Like it's little teefies. It's little teefies. It's so cute.
It looks like my Binks when he's asleep because he's a little
lush. I've said to Coxie, like, I want a cat, and I have been begging for the last 6 months for us to get a British short hair. Like obsessed with them. But yeah, that cat is stunning. But I still don't fully understand why the cat is halfway in, halfway out. And I was like thinking to myself today, I was like, I know that the Egyptians were like pretty strong on like cats thematically. Like, is it got something to do with that? Like, it's never really. What I love is that things aren't fully explained in this film because I'm like, why is that?
Yeah,
why is that?
Always like cats have always got a reputation of being like looking at stuff that isn't there, and you know.
Yeah, mine do.
Like,
mine's doing that right now, actually.
Just staring at the wall.
But just before we
staring at something down there.
Just
staring
before
at demons in Sammy's house.
Just before we forget, Chris, if you're watching, please clip Sonia going, "The little teefies, I need that little clip, please."
I was watching a little well, there's a little clip of Keanu Reeves talking about this movie, and I'm sure we're going to come full circle back to that. He's talking about the scene with the cat, and he's like, "I didn't know how to act in that scene," because I'm like, they just told they were going to hand me a cat, and I was like, I don't know what to do with the cat. And then like he was like, I literally picked up the cat, and he was like, "The cat is going to lead me in this scene. The cat will tell me what to do."
I love
that cat. He's just the way he just looks at it, and I was like, "That's cool." That the cat was just like, "Right, I'm going to stare at you, mate. I'm going to."
The most beautiful eyes.
I know its eyes are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly's just made a good point saying cats know more than they let on. They really, really do, and they know as well. They know my girl cat Beatrice. She has such an intuition with her when something's not right, when something's wrong, because she knows exactly how to act.
Right.
She knows exactly what to do, and she only does.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just thinking back now. Can you remember we had the Supernatural episode where we were talking about like ghost stories and interactions we've had in life? And I was a bit of a, cynic because I am. But we talked about cats that episode, and I'm now wondering if that's what is implied by the half in, half out. Does it mean that cats seem more like spiritually cats have that connection?
I will say that about Beatrice. I can't say that about the two new ones. I think they're too shiny and new for this world.
Are we going to have to do a cats episode, the supernatural cats, and see how
no, let's just do an episode where we look at cats and just all day.
Should we just have a camera on my cats and just watch
that'll be my excuse to actually finally get a British short hair, and then I can just sit with that.
The cat on the door. Look at it! Look at the cat! Don't do the shaken baby syndrome, please. No, don't do that.
No, not with the cats, because they will literally rip your face off if you do. Mine will anyway.
Segue us a little bit based on something Sonia's just said. So Sonia's talking about the Egyptian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's actually an implication here that a lot of different religious worldviews are accurate. Like the Egyptian, like the start of the movie when he does the exorcism in the apartment with the girl. He holds up loads of different religious symbols to the light to figure out which one the demon's going to respond to.
Yeah.
Papa Midnight's like a witch doctor. Who's like, I was just like, when Sonia said Egyptian, now I was like, you know what? There probably is a lot of different sects of demons. Obviously, this might be in the comics, and I'm just
no, you're spot on, Joe. You're spot on.
No, you are.
No,
but I was just like, it's probably accurate. There is something Egyptian. There might be something in there, but I love that that there's a wider universe there that you might see another Constantine movie with just a different religious dogma, a different religious aspect. But I mean, it's still like God and the devil.
But that's the thing with Constantine. Like if we take away the movie aspect, the books, it's basically all different religions are the thing. Like you're talking about like pagans, witchcraft, like every little say reference point that's not saying there's one true God or one true
No, he doesn't
story.
believe that.
Everything's got a thing like all these spells or symbolisms of mishmashed or connections from different places as well. So even like when we get the scene where he's putting his arms together like that, trying like say a thing, it's kind of like not just a symbolism towards like say Christianity or Catholicism. There's like loads of different elements, and that's where I always like the Constantine more. It's like it's all encompassing rather than like separating saying we're right by thinking this and this is wrong. Like everything has their place.
That's why if someone asked John a question and went God, you'll go which one? It wouldn't be a case of just there is one. If you watch the TV show of Constantine, because that is so accurate to the comics, John has his own little room, and within his own little room is everything religious based, anything and everything, and it covers it all. So John is it's not just one. It's not just a one path with him. It's everything. That's what I really love about him.
But I like that. I like that this is where it's interesting because the comic book fans didn't like the movie, or a lot of them didn't. But we have never read the comics, don't know anything about them, but me and Joe have been able to pick up on themes that are very apparent in there, which means that they did do a good job, right?
Exactly, that's right. And they're going to absolutely spew their grings because he's coming back.
I know, right?
But that's the thing, though, because that's where, again, with fandoms, and again, I don't want to get into me high horse and start ranting and raving and stuff, but I'll do a little bit of a shithouse on them. Just
a tiny bit.
This is where fandoms fuck up so much, because they think they've earned such entitled pricks at times to certain things. Yeah. Just because Constantine's not blonde and speaking with a Scouse accent, like, they kicked off a lot about the TV show, like, even when Matt Ryan was the perfect Constantine, just because he wasn't a constant smoker. But like I say, because in TV you can't do chain smoking because it's not like it's, especially if you want to go for a child audience.
Also, Matt Ryan's Welsh.
Yeah,
so there's no way he could pull off a Scouse accent.
So,
fucking big babies, man.
So that's why, like, saying I get annoyed with fandoms. But coming back to actually, like, the movie and stuff, there's like, as I was saying about the aspects they use to to talk to things, like how they used to get Raquel, like say Raquel White's, I can't get her name right now, Angela's powers by putting her in a bathtub and almost drowning her, like how brutal and stuff. I know Joe and Chris joked about in the Discord last night, like how many times can they get her in, like just make a shirt wet, like say it seemed to be like a running theme throughout the
so many scenes where our shirt's just drenched. It's just I think I posted the picture from Father Ted and just Father Jack when he's sitting at the wet t-shirt on more water.
It's very Flatliners moment though, isn't it? The whole like in between life and death kind of thing. And I have to ask a question about the story as well that kind of confuses a bit. The sword, the stabby, Jesus.
The spear.
Spear of Destiny.
Yeah, that's it. It goes by another name as well, doesn't it? Which is the guy who did it. Apparently, I don't know. But what was that actually? What did they need that for? I didn't quite figure that out.
Because it needed.
It's the opposite, isn't it? Yeah. It's the opposite of. It ended the life of Jesus, so it would bring the life of the devil.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. I was just a tad bit because it's the first thing you see see in the movie covered by a fucking Nazi flag.
Yeah, like of
We
course
all-
they had that.
You know what they did
In
with
Mexico.
that flag?
What?
After they filmed shooting, they burnt that flag because they did not want it to get into the hands of any neo-Nazis that were like, burn
Good.
that flag.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's other movies I've seen and other weird bits of literature that do reference the Nazis having part of the Spear of Destiny. This
I've
isn't
seen
the
that
only
a
thing.
lot.
Didn't Indiana Jones do that?
No, but like, well, rather like the history lesson here is the Nazis were obsessed with the occult and obsessed with and they did see of having like certain like artifacts would grant them enough power to win the war. So that's why they were like Hitler was.
That's stupid.
Yeah,
and it was in Mexico because after World War II, a lot of the officers fled to South America, which wasn't involved in the war.
Yeah.
And they started new lives there. And, you know, in fact, in Starship Troopers, the idea that all these kids from Buenos Aires are all blonde, blue-eyed, you know, is a little bit of a jibe that maybe they're descended from the Aryans that settled in Argentina after World War II.
Fuck. I did not know that.
Well, that kind of
I was wondering why the flag was in Mexico. Like why is it there?
It kind of explains Neil Patrick Harris's choice of suit as well. So.
Yeah,
but that's why it kind of lends credence to a lot of these type of like adaptations. Like you'll see a lot of Nazi references in Hellboy and stuff like that, similar type of themes, because they were so enriched and obsessed that like it. And again, I know it sounds really like generic. They are the quintessential bad guys. There's nothing like if there's a Nazi involved, you know, there's nothing good that's going to be happening. It's and like I say, and as you said in Indiana Jones, we're all happy to watch them get their faces melt off in Raiders of the Lost Ark because that's what we want to see happen to Nazis.
Blah 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 blah. What's his name? Michael Fassbender talks about it in X-Men First Class when he's in the bar in Argentina and he kills those two guys. They're Nazis, and he's talking about them. You know, he's like, my parents were killed by pig farmers and by butcher, whatever the two guys say they are, and that's what that whole scene's about. They're in Argentina.
Oh my god! What the fuck, man? Like I had no idea.
Where do you think they all went? Do you think they all just?
Mine's being blown right now.
I mean, I remember watching this film, and obviously don't know. Mum actually said something in the chat earlier on, and she said, "Do you think me and you were obsessed with religious stuff because we're from a very non-religious family?" And I think maybe so, but I didn't know that
school as well.
I didn't know the Spear of Destiny was a real thing. And to be honest, it might still not be. You know, let's throw that out there. But yeah, I thought when I first watched this film, I was like, oh, this film's created this really cool like idea. But I've seen other films where they also talk, like it's mentioned in Stigmata that, you know, the last stage of Stigmata is to be impaled by the spear.
Yeah.
And it even shows you in that film like the images of Jesus on the cross being, because that typically people would be crucified for so long and it would be such a long, horrible process that it was easier for them to just stab them, kill them, get them down. So it makes sense that would have been the final step.
I admitted this on Monsters, and I'm going to say it again on here. I actually was convinced I was going through the Stigmata at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you have the crown of thorns?
Felt like it. So I have a blood condition. I have an autoimmune disease, and part of that is muscle spasms. But they don't start like, it's not like a regular like muscle pain like where like in your arm or something like that. It starts at your feet and it works its way all the way up, and it just completely affects all your system, and it literally goes from up to your feet up to your top. I genuinely thought from where it started, I was like, right, where's the holes? I'm literally going through the Stigmata right now. Like, this is happening. I even shouted to Anne saying, I think this is it. It's happening. I'm going to be the first starter, and it wasn't. It was just me going through a muscle spasm episode.
Pleasure.
But yeah, I convinced myself I was going through the Stigmata.
Fucking love the film, you know.
It's one of my favorites.
So good. So good.
Favorites.
Like going back to like Constantine as well. Like after we get after we get the almost kind of like torture scene where it's just like held underwater for so long, and you finally get like a psychotic episode where she releases her powers and she comes out and she's like just changed, shall we say? And again, when Joe mentioned it, when he goes to see Papa Moon Knight and he just punches the security guard out of the way because he's like, fuck this anymore. And you get Shia LaBeouf's little character who was stopped last time going, huh, rat in a dress now, bitch, and kicks him when he's down.
He says the password and he goes, "You're wrong," and he just punches him.
Yeah, because he knows he's not going to be allowed in.
Yeah.
He knows he's gone too far for Papa Midnight to want him to be in the club because he's not doing his
He's not following
job.
the rules.
Yeah.
He's following the rules.
So Papa Midnight's like, if he turns up, don't let him in. And I think Constantine knows that. Like, if he knows what's on the card, he knows what Papa Midnight's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but how would they get like John in that, like, say, to go into the other world this time is just like on that chair, and everything that's involved is just it's so well done. And like say the build up, and as Joe said, he starts pulling the bottle of rum about, and he's going, "Oh, what's this for?" He's going to do it for a bit of flavour.
It's the way he pushes the light bulb up against the wall and it smashed. Like even that to not break the filament, I was just like, that looked obviously it looked practical, and I don't know why you wouldn't. It's probably fairly easy to do. I was like, that's amazing, just the way that they can see the electricity just like going through it. And I was like, fucking hell,
This
man.
is the team you've got, man. Like Stan Winston, like he does not. I mean, he doesn't now because he's dead.
Yeah,
but he does not. He did not mess about. Him and Shane are very. If they can do it, we're doing it.
So I have a question that perhaps you can answer. Why are all these fantastic people attached to this movie? And it might be because there was a different director to begin with. But the director who actually did this was his first movie.
Yeah, Francis Lawrence.
yeah.
And before this, he did music videos, which I think actually speaks to the credit of putting something in really slyly in a very small space of time, because a music video, you've got to do it.
I watched a video essay about this guy. I don't know why. I watched it. It was about 6 months ago. I watched a video essay, and the guy was talking about the music videos that he's directed and how does someone go from that to this.
And
like the jump is massive, and for him to have done so well with it thematically as well, like.
Well, look at the Russo brothers. The Russo brothers did a couple of TV episodes, and then jumped straight in with the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
I think I think at times it's who you know, but I think Keanu Reeves had a lot to do with this movie getting made. Like, I think he read the Constantine comics and was like, I want this film to be made. I know through the years, this has went through a lot of different hands. Like, it went from Constantine, the Dark Justice League was meant to be made years ago. Like say, Swamp Thing that was supposed to be going to lead into Constantine. Like all these different characters and elements were supposed to be lead, but everyone's kind of scared with this because it's not like the typical comic book movie. And as I said, you don't know how to market, you don't know how to push. It has a very the fan base now is bigger than it was. So people who read this script, like, I'll be honest, if you read this script, it sounds interesting as fuck. You don't get many things, as much layers I can take from it as well. So, and probably the two people that, probably the one person that probably was the most difficult to get was probably Raquel Weisz, because she's probably following The Mummy after this point. All the others, like Tilda Swinton wasn't a big name back then. She was starting out doing some independent. Shia LaBeouf, this was his big. Well, this was just before Spielberg had got his hands on him and started saying, "This is going to be the next big movie star."
Shia's he's a child actor.
He's a Disney actor.
Disney actor. He's a child actor.
But that's the thing. The reason why he went crazy is because Spielberg handpicked him and went, "This is going to be the biggest star coming forward," and that's when his ego got inflated and went.
Well, he could have kept that in check. He would have been as well, because he was such a commercial success. Whatever he was touching at the time was turning into gold. But it's interesting you talking about like them not knowing what like this movie marketing wise. TV show was no different. So the CW signed up for they only give it 13 episodes. They didn't give two shits. It wasn't actually the CW, it was someone else.
No, it was CW bought it afterwards.
Bought it, but bought him, not the show.
Yeah, because that had been Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. So it was another network before them. They only bought 13 episodes. The episodes aren't even done in chronological order. It's very the same as Firefly. They didn't give two shits. They just wanted it up there and done. And there was absolute hell on within the the
think-
nerdy community at the time, and I was part of the rage that they basically cancelled it without giving them a proper ending.
Yeah, I think with the TV show, what happened was they did the pilot. They showed the pilot at Comic-Con. Everyone went crazy because, like, it was the same with Lucifer. Lucifer with I've forgotten his name now. It's very sexy.
Tom Holland.
Tom
Holland?
No,
No.
it's Tom something. He was in Call the Midwife.
No, he's not. He's in Miranda.
Miranda, same thing.
It's not. It's very different. Miranda is in it, but it's
Yes.
very different. What's his name?
Tom Ellison.
Right.
But
Yes.
Beautiful Englishman.
where they showed
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the film, the first episode showed at Comic-Con, got such an overwhelming reaction because showing these type of characters in a nerd environment, they think they've got the
Yeah.
biggest thing and the next big thing,
Yeah.
and then when it gets broadcast to the wider public, it's not always got the biggest appeal. Especially if
Yeah.
especially think, because again, I love these characters, I love these stories, but if I walked around the streets of England and said John Constantine, no one's going to bat an eye. If I say Batman, Bruce Wayne, it's a different
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
totally. I totally understand that he was a very niche character to a niche group, and I think the first episode of the TV series did so well is because it was comic accurate.
Mhm.
It was so to the comic. It was like, oh shit, are they actually going to go down this route and do this? And Joe's back. People in the chat's like, where's Joe gone? Joe's gone.
He was taken by a
Joe's
demon.
ascendant. Hell has reclaimed Joe.
I go and fight some soldier demons off.
Oh, they're coming through the mirror as well.
There was a character from the comic who was actually used in this movie, but her
Oh, I know
scenes
about
were cut
this.
out. Yeah,
I know about
Ellie?
this. She's the one who at the end says holy water.
Holy
Like she's
water.
meant to have a huge role in this film
Yeah,
and
he
just
uses-
doesn't.
No.
Well, she's a
Yeah.
huge, she's a huge part of the comic book. She's John's little go-to if he wants some answers for something, and he'll use a certain thing to get it from her.
Oh,
The sexual
Um,
connotations, and I learned that the reason
Huge.
they took the character out because they wanted to increase the sexual tension between him and Rachel Weisz.
But they didn't want to
So-
give them a love story at the same time.
So they were like, the best thing we can do is remove the idea, because what they felt was they wanted to create Constantine to be likable, and they felt like his attitude was forgivable as long as he wasn't doing anything immoral, and using someone for sex or using someone sexually would cross that line and make you maybe dislike him. So they took it
Alright.
out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was
Also-
Michelle. Oh, go on.
sorry. It also makes him so much more isolated at the start. It makes him like,
Yeah.
if he's got someone who he can go and like bang every now and again, he's less of a lonely person. Whereas
Yeah, exactly.
It suits his character more to be alone and dying,
Talk
and
about
that's why he's so
I
harsh.
didn't, but it's a character I didn't pick up on. Like I know Ellie from the comics, and I was like, when she came on, and I read about that it was the woman who said, "Oh, holy water." I was
Mm.
like, okay, I didn't. I
Didn't you?
would never. Put
How are
one-
you meant to know? Yeah.
Yeah, I would never have known that.
Now, there is some choices in this movie as well. And again, I'm not always mad about some of the choices, but the one thing that did always, like, it's when I first watched it, it did seem a little bit odd. But now I think it's well done, but still a little bit odd in, like, they're coming together. When John gets attacked by the bug demon, like, it just comes out of nowhere, and then it's kind of, like, brushed away, and it's
Forgotten about.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting little like fight. You know, the demons are sending like the soldiers out to get him, but this book, like, who would notice like a group of flying bugs and a crab walking across fucking LA and not be
John's
bothered about?
favourite.
The minute that came on, I knew where it was going. I think that was something to appease comic book fans because he is a monster within the comic book series.
All right.
So I was like, I see that, but the crab bit, I was like, what? Why?
Why a crab? Yeah, yeah.
Why,
Yeah,
And
why
crab?
Joe literally hates crabs as well. Like when we used to watch it, he used to be like, "Why?
Why crab?
Why did it have to be crabs?
I just have the crabs.
They are sketchy little bastards, aren't they? Like the
Little arseholes sideways moving. Do they breathe underwater? Why have they got weapons for hands? Nah, I'm out.
Don't forget the self amputation as well. Like they'll just chop their own arms off. They don't care.
Yeah,
Oh, they can take that as much as they want. Fucking dicks.
So anyone who's listening, we need a lot of photoshops of Joe fighting crabs now. So
Yeah,
Joe
let's
against
do
the
it.
crab army.
There was one character who we didn't mention who I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I'm struggling to find his name now.
Was it Keanu Reeves? Because we haven't actually talked much about him yet.
No, it was B-Man. It was his friend, B-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's so canny. His final lines are so sad because he knows he's going to die. And it's the fact that he's just like, I know you don't believe, but like, we believe in you. And like, it's just so, and you can tell like John's really bugged by it as well, because when they first meet in his apartment, you can tell they're old friends, but you still see that kind of standoffish, like, bravado from John, where, like, because he asks how John's been, and John ignores the question, and he's like, what have you got? But then he gives John the cough syrup, and you're like, there's clearly a longer friendship here, there's a deeper meaning. And then when John finds out he's in trouble, the way he's like, fucking drive like fast, and the way you can tell he cares about this person, he just can't show it. Like, it's really quite sad. Like,
there's a difficulty there, isn't there? Like, I think that's John all over.
And this is
he's
one
got Hennessy as well. I think he's.
No, definitely. I would say with the loss of Hennessy, but this one is horrific and one of the best horrors as well. Like horror elements to this movie. Like when you initially see the fly come out of his eye. That's just fucking like, and again, that could have looked so bad. Like think about like special effects wise, that could have looked terrible, and you could have like rolled your eyes out. Yeah,
Blade's eyes being CGI'd on.
He don't
around the same era.
He don't. When we did that episode, I watched all three of them movies, and Ant didn't tell us about it, and I didn't do any notes until after I watched them. And he's just sitting looking at us, waiting for it to happen. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in his face?
Yeah. But when John gets there as well, and you see him just covered in flies, it's just like,
it's gnarly as fuck.
It's like I don't know necessarily like how it's done. Obviously, it's probably like quite a cult, but when John's talking to Angela early in the film, he talks about like how they use what you love against you, right? So that's why Hennessy dies to alcohol. That's why he dies to bugs. What I don't understand is how, because Balthazar's behind both of them, but how? Like, how does he do? Is it mind control? Is it witchcraft? Like,
yeah, I think it's some kind of curse or something like that, because he always has the coin, he turns the coin to turn something as well. So he kind of changes people's perceptions and stuff. And again, with demons and stuff, they don't actually get the hands-on and stuff. It's just like changing people's minds, or like having an influence in a way which makes it even a little bit more scary. And it's always it's like what they say is like the greatest trick the devil ever played was making people believe he wasn't real type thing. So it's like having them type of elements there. But but coming back to John, Keanu's character like performance as well, you're right, we haven't really talked about much. What did you actually feel like? I know if you can go back through Keanu's career, like I love Keanu Reeves. He doesn't really do change. He's not what we would call a chameleon of an actor, shall we say?
The thing is though, he did start out as a bit of a chameleon, because his
with Bill and Ted, dude.
He did do a shift from, because Bill and Ted and Parenthood, he's pretty much playing the same fucking person.
Yeah.
But then he shifts into his action side, and he does have a bit of a shift to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he kind of stayed. He's stuck there, but it's great that he didn't get typecast as his characters from Bill and Ted and Todd from I love Todd from Parenthood. He is so fucking great. But again, it's just Bill and Ted.
You can twist it in a way. You could say if Ted went to military school, he just turned into John Wick.
No, it's so true.
But I see he has had some interest in those, like Jonathan Harkness from Dracula.
Jesus Christ. Let's not talk about that one, shall we?
Because
that's just horrible.
So I'm glad we didn't get Keanu trying to do an accent in this movie. It literally is just like, say, if Ted fucked up and was seeing demons.
Sometimes it's best just to stick with the accent you've got. Kevin Costner didn't back down when he was doing Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He was like, the accent sounds terrible, I'm just gonna stick with my own. Like, let's just not mess this up. And I prefer actors who will do that as opposed to attempt to do Martin, what's his face from Black Panther, attempt to do a terrible accent.
In Mary Poppins.
What is wrong with Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins?
It's not. Oh, God, no, let's put on pairs. Step in time.
I love it.
It's a little bit like Carl Urban in The Boys, isn't it? She's
It's like let's put a bag of marbles in his gob and say a cunt a lot. Oh my cunt!
It depends on it depends on what you're making, because I know that when they made the Chernobyl miniseries, they were like, we're not going to bother touching upon like Russian or Slavic accents. We're not going to bother. Everyone's going to talk like how they talk because we need them to be able to deliver things.
And it works.
And it works. It works so well. Do you know what I love about that? Totally off topic, but I love that like there's a lot of like Northern and Yorkshire accents, because I think that when you think of working class people, you do think of the North, and you know we're nerdy up north, but we're also working class up north. So I love that. People who would work in a factory would probably, in my mindset, I'd imagine Northerners. So actually, that makes it work. It makes it work that they have those accents. So I agree. I think sticking to your own accent can sometimes be more effective.
Massively. You get a better performance. You're not focusing on the fact that shit, that's a fucking
like how do I deliver this line?
Yeah, exactly. If Keanu kept his actual accent for Bram Stoker's Dracula, would we be talking about his performance being as terrible as it was? Because all we're looking at is how he was delivering the lines.
You would get some
with that accent.
You would get some Bella and said, "Oh, they should have cast an Englishman." That's how it is. That's what the like fandoms do though. That's the problem.
But they cast an Englishman as Dracula.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
To be fair though, that Englishman is Gary Oldman, and Gary Oldman can't do any fucking wrong. So.
That is true.
He is the chameleon. We're talking about chameleons, like he's like top of that list, isn't he?
Like, Gary Oldman in Fifth Element is just perfect.
Oh,
Gary
my
Oldman,
God.
Gary Oldman in Batman Begins as Commissioner Gordon. That is the movie I wanted to see. Just give me that. But
everything about that.
Everything he does.
It's just gold. But Keanu, I actually saw a moment in this where I was like, oh shit, is he auditioning for John Wick here? It just really like, it took us out of, just for a second, I was like, oh, that was very
I am really looking forward to him using what he's picked up in terms of like combat and action sequences in the next Constantine.
Absolutely. I was going to say, because obviously he did the Matrix, and he didn't just do the Matrix, he also did a lot of kung fu training, and he did a lot of like martial arts, and he's carried that, and he's now done like excessive like parkour, using guns, like all of this knowledge is within him. Like he's fast, he's cool, and he does it himself, and I feel like bringing that to Constantine too, because he uses a gun, but he also fights, and like, can you imagine the kind of sequences we could get if this is made properly? Like,
oh, absolutely.
I mean, the only again, if we're talking about the sequel, might be controversial here. I just hope they don't try and appease the fans and try and make it too much like the comic book. Keep it to the tone that we've got now. Ramp it up. Give us more of that element. I think that is the only way that people would be happy.
I agree.
Use the comic as an influence, but don't directly. And it's exactly what they did here. I don't understand how people were so angry about it, because it was made as an influence. This man is nearly 60 years old.
He can never die. He could never die.
He did an interview. Till he's 90. He did an interview with Seth Meyers recently, and it wasn't. It was the other guy. But anyways, late talk show, and he listed off his movies. Now, what he was like, I want the first word that comes to your mind when I start saying these movies, and it was like Point Break, and he was just like, the great Patrick Swayze. And then he went along down the list, and then when it got to The Matrix, he paused, and he just went, it changed my life. And he started to get very, very emotional and like very teary at the fact that this movie completely and utterly changed his life. And I was like, I just want everything good in this world to happen to you. I really, really do.
And how crazy is it though? Like, if you think about it, we've done this podcast now for how long? And that's the first time the Matrix has been mentioned.
My God, is it?
That is the first time we have mentioned the Matrix in any type of context.
I think it was in my like top 10, but it was your 24-hour stream, so it wasn't really a podcast. But I mentioned it because I will advocate for those movies. I love them.
But that doesn't exist. YouTube took it down. It was too awesome to be like.
Too awesome to be released. But we did it. They can't take that away from us. We fucking did it. But Oh,
The
that's
Sonic footage will live
crazy.
forever.
Forever. No, that's really crazy that The Matrix is not being brought up. It's actually one of my mother's favorite films of all time. Is the first
Me
Matrix.
too. Me too.
I
I remember
thoroughly
my mum
enjoyed.
pausing the movie to explain it to me. And stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Keep it up.
She was like,
We
"Do you
just
know what's
understand."
happening?" And I was like, "It was the scene where he takes him to, and he holds up the battery, and he's like, turns us into this." And my mum paused it. She was like, "Do you understand?" And I was like, "No."
Not a
No,
fucking clue.
I'm not
When do they
following
start
this,
kicking
Mum.
each other?
Why aren't they fighting anymore?
Well, to be fair,
my mum-
there is a banned version of The Matrix as well, where there's a headbutt scene, because it said the headbutt scene was too violent for this movie.
Too violent for telly.
Yeah.
My mum doesn't understand Shutter Island.
Hmm.
Watch the Elvis movie the other day with Austin Butler. Didn't understand what was going on there, but could tell you The Matrix back to front, inside out, the in-depth of that movie. She could talk about it for hours. She absolutely loves it. But again, Shutter Island, she's still to this day, it's been nearly 10, 15 years, she still can't get over she does not understand that film.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's crazy. But it's so weird because my mum actually read what was it? What did she read? Sandman while we were on holiday. She
All right.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it's not something that would jump into my mum's thingy, but she got it as an audio book. And she just kept shouting over to us, going, "Sam, who the fuck is John Constantine?" And I was like, "I'm not in the mood to sit and explain this to you right now." I was like, "Well, he keeps getting brought up, and I know who Joanna Constantine is." And I went, "Well, I don't know who she fucking is, because I've not read Sandman." So we had this huge argument over the Constantines.
But it's great.
Sometimes on holiday.
John's
It's not
better
a
than
holiday without a family argument, Sammy.
over a Constantine as well.
Over the Constantines.
But like John's like when we hear like the full story of John in this movie as well, like going back from his youth, which is just heartbreaking, as Sonia alluded to earlier, where he's seeing monsters before, so he tried to take his own life, and he explains like he was officially dead for 2 minutes until they brought him back. So 2 minutes in hell is like a lifetime up on Earth and stuff. So he's went through that. So that's his whole mission, to try and not go back there. And with him dying of like aggressive lung cancer as well because of his chain smoking, and like even in the doctor's office, he's still smoking away, and he's like, "Really?" And he's
I'm already dying from it. I'm already going from it.
But yeah, his whole like say trip through this movie, and again, a lot of actors could have overplayed it, but I'm not going to do Keanu any disservice and say he just played Keanu. He gave it enough weight and like actually gravitas that someone who was in John's position would do, but he never kind of let the weight of it kind of overshadow what he wants to do as well.
Yeah. There's never any kind of like struggle, is there? There's the struggle for good and bad, and there's the struggle for the job he does, but there's never a struggle of like him fighting against it. It's almost like he's accepted, like, this is who I am. I'm just going to keep doing what I've done every day, and I'm going to keep doing it until I die. And I love that about him. Like, that's strength in him. Because he says a line, Angela. He says, she's like, "You're trying to buy your way back in," and he's like, "Well, what would you do if you were sentenced to a prison and all the inmates were put there by you?"
And then she kind of went, "Shit."
But at the same time, like, he didn't need to do that.
No.
He didn't need to put those inmates in. Like, he made that decision, and I love that. That like, even though
he made it worse for himself.
there's a chance I'm going to go to hell, but I'm still going to do this. Like that. That's what makes him fundamentally a good person.
Yeah, I love the fact that his punishment from the devil was that he will take away his cancer
He has to live.
in order for him, because he knows that he will fuck up again and he will end up back in his graces as opposed
He's like,
to
you're going to prove yourself. You're going to prove that you deserve to be with me. I love you. Yeah.
That is such a punishment, though.
Come have fun with me. It's your boy Lou.
When you're so angry, when you're pissed off so much that you give your enemy life.
Knowing fine well that in his time he will fuck up to where he cannot go to heaven and he will have to come to him. And I love that little twist at the end. I was like, oh, That is
Yeah.
brilliant. That is
It's
good
cool.
fucking writing. That.
I'm going to say something now as well, because I've had this conversation with Joe and he semi-disagrees with us, but what I love in the film is that the exposition is like so good. You're never spoon-fed. You learn what you need to learn. And when I watched that final scene today, I thought, actually, there's an element of maybe some people not recognizing that that's the cancer he's holding. You might actually think like, oh, he's pulled out his lungs, like he's killed him. Like, like there's an element of like, it never necessarily fully just tells you. It always gives you it in these really nice roundabout ways where at the end you think tapping his tab box and then he pulls out the gum instead and you're like, oh, he's changing his ways. I love that about the film.
How many demons like to have their hands inside of Keanu Reeves' stomach?
Oh yeah,
I know, right?
Wouldn't you?
I mean,
I'd like to be all of these guys.
It's getting up and then get sun.
I feel like they wanted to wear his skin at one point. I was
To be fair, the demons will probably do. Like I say, they'll probably do a lot of things worse than that.
What's with the hands in the stomach?
They probably use the entrails as lube as well. But
just
Pat Midnight pushes him up against the wall. He's like,
it's like, oh no! What did you think of the after credits scene?
I love it. And you know what? Like, I remember me and Joe watching at the end of the credits we didn't know there was anything going to happen. We were just talking, but we left the credits playing and just remember being like, holy shit, right. Did you see that? Like, that sweet just happened. Like, and it's rewind it, yeah, and going back.
I remind myself what had happened because I totally forgot, but got a nice shiny gravestone, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was erected pretty quickly.
Very quick.
The death haggerness was like, wow, that's a wreck fast.
But I do again have a sort of question about it because like obviously you've got this idea of like people on Earth being half and then people in heaven and hell are like full. So him flying off but from Earth, does that mean he's going to hell as a full-blown angel, or does that mean that he's still on Earth as a half? Like it confused me a little bit. I know that thematically it's just meant to mean he's going to heaven, but I was like, but why is he there?
Yeah. but that's probably would have, because I know
we might find out in the next film.
In the next film, I know that with the reaction initially, any sequel talk got stopped straight away, but now it's kind of picked back up. I know it's supposed to be in the works. It's not in the works. There's a lot of different talk and chatter about it. It'll be interesting to see. I hope they do lead in with more of the Lucifer character. Popping in to taunt John on the way, not to be an advocate or an adversary, just to taunt, like someone just to taunt him, just to be there.
Like reminding him of what you basically have to be on the straight and narrow, otherwise, my friend, you are coming with me. The talks of them, it's been going on before lockdown, and then in lockdown they got a lot of work done on it, but because obviously a lot was going on in the world, nothing could be picked up or finalized, and then the writer's strike happened, and then they've just starting to finalize the plan for it to move forward next year. That's the last thing I read about it.
Yeah, I read that too.
I am not obviously a Hollywood insider. So I want to go
scoops with not scoops, scoops. I can't go the words. I fucked it up now. It's gone.
It's okay.
I read somewhere. I did read a headline where it said something like a certain actor won't be back. And I do think that actor's probably going to be either Shia or potentially Rachel. I don't know. I'd like to think Rachel will come back, but Keanu and Peter Stormare have both said that they'll be reuniting for this, like 100%. Peter Stormare's actually voiced a little bit of concern. He's really worried that it's going to be a bit too big for itself and won't like have the same magic that the 2005 one had. And I understand that in him because, like you say, he made it his own. So I don't think he'd like for them to be like, you need to do this. And
no,
I would love to see
if they keep it the way that it was. If they like you say, keep it the way that they made it, keep it their own kind of twist on it. I think it could be amazing.
And it was successful, I think, because Keanu and Peter loved playing these characters. They loved them. They did make it their own. So as long as whoever's director now, whoever's in charge says
it's meant to be the same director.
Same guy.
Great. Like here's the freedom to keep doing what you love. You know, that. I know
Stan Winston's passed away now, but his team is very much still alive. So I really hope that they would go
back with that
to them.
Yeah.
Just trying to think
to them.
Well, it won an award, didn't it? The kind of
The effects side.
The effects and stuff. So if you're winning an award, you're using that team again, right? Like you've got to. You'd be silly not to.
Shane Man's amazing.
I'll be interested to see Tilda Swinton's character Gabriel, like how she's living in
living as a human. Yeah.
I hope she's like the priest in Always Sunny.
Oh my god, Rickety Cricket.
Rickety Cricket. Literally just going in ringworm.
Rickety Tilda going there.
Sex with a dog.
With the bionic legs.
Oh dear me.
There was a moment earlier where I nearly said Keanu's not a bastard man, and I was like, nope, just keep that to yourself.
Yeah, he's a bastard man.
Oh god. That's gonna be
always can bring it back. Always Sunny. Always.
Can never get away from it. But yes. So if we're going to rate this film out of 5, like in the rating systems, I'll go with Sammy first.
Sammy's striding.
just with Sammy being like kind of the virgin eyes on it, with her being watching it popping a cherry yesterday. Like I say, it's been a while since that's happened to her, bless her. So she's got to kill us now. Sorry. So what would you rate it out of 5, Sammy?
I can't give it a. Oh, can I? I've really fucking enjoyed this movie, and I'm glad I watched it when I did.
Yeah.
Because I think if I watched it when it came out, and then read Hellblazer, I might have like had a very different opinion on it, and I was obviously a very different person back then. I'm gonna say I can't even do it points, can I? Damn you, Jake. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Right, okay. Just going
I'm gonna give it I am, because I love the fact that it's not a direct take from the comic books. I love the fact it's very inspired. There is bits in it as a comic book fan who was like, shit, yeah, that, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought Keanu, when I read the whole Sting and Keanu thing, I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, I totally get where they're coming from. So it kind of made us like gravitate to Keanu more. I was like, oh, I do like that aspect. So yeah, I'm going with a big old 5.
So Sonia, are you giving it a 1?
Yeah, worst film ever. I'm out. No, it's a 5 for me. Like it probably was one of the first films to ignite my love of like thematic religious horror themes. I'd obviously seen The Exorcist and stuff like that, but this was the first film where I was like, you know what, I love this kind of theme, and it led to me watching Stigmata and other films like it. So, and I now know as an adult how to like verbalize what it is I like about that theme, but this film made me realize it. Like it made me, I want more of this, and it doesn't have to be horror, it doesn't have to be action, it doesn't have to be drama. If it's around these themes, I'm in. So yeah, it's a 5 for that reason for me. I've just got a lot of fond memories of watching it. One thing we haven't mentioned, there's also a game, and Joe had the game for Xbox, and man, it was bad. I was so stuck on it, but like it was cool. You had the holy water, and you could cross over into hell, and you would have to like holy water yourself to get back, and it was weird, that game. But there
was so many straight like game adaptations that were just so bad. Like I remember owning the Fantastic Four game based off the first like 20th Century Fox one. Oh god, it's so bad.
Yeah, but so no, the game I don't rate, but that's how into it we were. So yeah, it's definitely a 5 for me.
Cool.
Just to tack on to what Sonia was just saying there, I had this rant to someone when I was watching some horror Exorcist film. I hate films like The Exorcist where they portray priests, and this is going to sound so weird, as like just these really dull, they're wearing their robes, they're just chanting out the Bible, and it's like, I love this, where you see religious figures just like being fucking paladins, just like holy warriors who are just going to absolutely tear demons apart and fight them toe to toe. Because you got like horror exorcism movies where like the demons just running amok, and all you can do is just stand there and hold your cross.
The power of Christ compels you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe.
I want to see. Sorry.
Are you saying that Max von Sydow is boring?
Yes.
No.
Wow. He's ineffective. I want to see the priest from Brain Dead just like I kick ass for the
Oh my
Lord,
God.
just bursting in and just booting the demon in the face and watching its face melt off. Like,
Get
just
it.
show me that.
He's got
So someone else
is-
into my
Joe,
shoe.
Joe,
Yes.
can I do an episode with me and you just shitting on The Exorcist?
You fucking can't.
The Exorcist is okay. It's fine.
It's
I'm not-
okay. What is happening here?
It's all right.
He's gonna get out.
The power of Sammy compels you.
It's one of the greatest movies ever made. What is he saying?
Our love.
Sorry, my little rant out the way. Oh, okay. Sorry, they cut a car chase from this film after
Alright.
the office scene
Right.
where she gets dragged out in the air, which is fantastic. I love as well. As
Oh,
soon as that scene
yeah.
ends, you see him turn around. He just walks back inside. He's just like, right, better get on with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can't go any further than that.
there was a car chase of like him getting from the office to the hospital or to Papa Midnight. Sorry,
Mhm.
which they cut out because of Princess Diana.
All right.
Oh, really?
No, that's not true. But they did-
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ, Joe.
Joe,
did-
you could have literally just left that hanging there, and we believed you.
They did cut out a car chase. It had nothing to do with PD.
Oh.
Did Princess Diana wouldn't have seen this film, would she? No.
She wouldn't. Not 2005. Way too late for
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Would she have
cameo in hell?
would she have liked this movie?
She would have loved it. I love it too. My rating is a 5. I'm gonna stop talking and let you crack on with the rest of the show.
Sammy, I love The Exorcist, so
Thank
I'm with you on there. It's just so you've got a bit of backup.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I would say it's a 4, not because I'm trying to be difficult or thing. There is certain elements I would change. I would take out that line "finger licking good" by Gavin Rosenthal. Didn't need it.
Yeah. Do you not think there's an element there? Sorry to interrupt, but do you not think there's an element there that potentially Peter Stormare's scenes were filmed first and he was trying to embody him? Because I feel like he tries to do the same thing, but not as well. You know, when Peter Stormare does that weird tongue flick and like licks John's face, but he does it really well.
Yeah.
It's so similar. There's part of us feels like, did you watch that scene happen and think, I'm going to do that? But I'll lick my fingers instead.
Yeah.
What I love as well, sorry, that bit where he's leaning in close and he goes to bite him and then he's like, and like pulls back. Keanu's face, he's like terrified.
Yeah.
And you're like, I love that, like, he's just like, is this dude like gonna kill us? But like the gambit's not gonna pay off here. And he's just gonna fucking drag me to hell and that'll be that. Love it.
Yeah, sorry, Paul. Just wanted to jump in there.
No, it's fine. It probably that element again. There's a certain elements that I'd probably want more of. Like I love like the backstories of like the introduction of the people who were helping and supporting John. I would love to have known or gotten to know them more before their demise. But I think again, just with them like making this movie, they didn't know whether they wanted a comic book movie or a horror film. If they'd have set the lane in one and stayed steadfast, I think it would have been received a lot better, or like I say, I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more. And again, I know, like say, not to say the bitterness of it, like with us being a John Constantine fan, I think this movie you could have had it you could have made this movie and it could have used any other name and it wouldn't have made a difference. You didn't have to have the John Constantine marker to it. It's
very true, actually.
It's the same with the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. You could have had that movie and done it the way it was done, just not set it in Gotham, not set it as the Joker, and it would have had the same impact.
Yes.
It's just kind of going towards wanting to make a movie along these lines, but then saying kind of tacking on the comic book element to try and get more sales.
The marketing, the sale. Yeah, you're totally right, because the writing is so strong in both movies. It doesn't need that name attached to it. That story is so solid. Both of them, actually, there's solid storylines that didn't need the names attached. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad like John's got his own little like corner in there.
Yes, it's finding his corner. Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, any other points that we've missed out that you two really want to do? Because I think I've got everything out that I wanted to get out.
No, I said I kick off for the Lord. I think that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring in that Jay and Silent Bob reference because I was absolutely mind blown by it.
That is the best fact, reference, whatever you want to call it, is that it's being brought up. I honestly thought it was just a throwaway comment.
Yeah, because I was like, who could he possibly mean? Like skinny guy, fat friend? I was like, oh my god, it can't be.
They mean everything, the goddamn hippies. So yes, so that is our like little tit-a-tate on Constantine, a movie that probably doesn't get the love and the respect it probably deserves.
Underdog,
especially like see in kind of in both communities, like in the horror communities, it's kind of looked down on, and in the comic book community, it is kind of looked down on as well. So get off your high horse, just fucking enjoy the ride. It's a fun film.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I enjoy Tilda's feet and Peter Stormare's tongue.
It's a better movie than Nexus. Put it that way. Yeah.
His feet are in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Many feet to be enjoyed. Quentin Tarantino enjoys.
Yes.
That's the tagline for the movie. Right there.
All the feet.
Better than hell wants him, heaven doesn't want him because
we have feet. Settle down.
Yes. So Sammy, what's happening tomorrow night?
Well,
talking about feet.
Such a great segue. Thanks for that, Sonia. Tomorrow night on Monsters, it is another double feature, which is Death Proof and Planet Terror.
Grindhouse, bitches.
Grindhound, baby. So yeah, we're going into. Don't expect a lot on Death Proof because, as I realised halfway through, I really just want to talk about Planet Terror. So that's quite sped up.
Fair.
It won't be a premiere tomorrow.
Well,
tomorrow
it might be now because
it might be dependent. But my plan is moving forward is to just drop the episodes on a Monday. But yeah, 8 o'clock YouTube. However way, it'll be there.
It'll be there.
It'll be there.
Yes, we'll always be there. But yes, so that's tomorrow night. We've got a few things planned for the week. I haven't.
Oh gosh, I've got a busy week.
I'm not going to try and promote them. Just keep an eye out. I know Tuesday there's the interview with Neil Marshall, which blew my mind. Like I say, it's only a short one, so it's only 30 minutes. So if you get a chance to watch it, please do. It'll mean the world to us that we actually got to be part of something that like promoting another guy's film, which when we started doing this didn't even enter my mind that we would be doing.
No, we did a press junket, for fuck's sake. We were part of a press junket. It still hasn't fucking set in yet.
We're on an embargo where we're not allowed to release the interview just yet, so that's just the crazy part. Also, next week we are still in the comic book world. We are going into another dark comic book film, Mystery Men, which again, a lot of people don't give the love it's due. It is one of the most batshit Justice League-esque movies that you'll ever see, and has some of the best character actors in that you'll see. You'll see the Bowler, you'll see Ben Stiller being Ben Stiller. But yes.
Well, yeah, that's how I took it in that film. So if you haven't noticed, we've left the summer blockbusters and we're now heading into the graphic comic book world as opposed to comic book world. Yeah.
So then we've got like a certain Batman film which I'm not looking forward to.
I am so excited. He should never have given me an option to pick. I can't wait. Please remember on the YouTube to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Yes. And just to give a shout out as well, the chat yous have been on fire tonight, so thank you. You've kept us entertained. Just to say as well, end of September, I know it's a while away, we are going to be doing a double feature that's going to involve Sonia and Kelly. We are going to be doing The Shining and Doctor Sleep, so I am very excited for doing that. So Stephen King lovers out there, hopefully you will enjoy.
Love Stephen King.
So yes, so a lot of stuff coming out. Keep an eye out for Chris and Lee's videos, the Top Grumps, that'll be coming soon. Check out Tunes, check out Gigs, check out Women, not like that, but check out the Women of Nerd Culture.
Check out Women.
There is a schedule that goes up every Tuesday, and the audio for all this week's episodes will be available on Tuesday. Tuesday is my day.
Tuesday is my day. So yes,
it's my day.
So nothing else to leave. Like I say, I'm going to go and have something to eat. Try and cool down because this room's like a furnace. Just to, I think the message of the day as well, with all the shit that's going on, is just basically be kind to each other. It doesn't take much to be nice. Give someone a random compliment, tell someone they look pretty, give someone a flower, buy someone a chocolate bar. Just do something that's like out of your goodness of heart, and not wanting to get anything back. Just be good people, nerds. And on that note, same bat time, same bat channel.
Hey, nerdy everyone.
Bye.
Bye.